Hey everybody, today I'm going to be telling you about what you might call a closed hive inspection. So what I'm looking at here is a swarm that I caught just a couple of weeks ago, and it's a really big swarm. It's really going gangbusters. You can see they're pretty active today. It's a sunny day, but it's kind of cool, so you can see they're moving pretty good. There's a lot of bees coming and going. So what do we want to know about a hive without looking in it? Well, when we look in a hive, we disrupt the hive. We don't want to do that. We want to let the bees handle their own business and deal with their own stuff. And when we open the hive, we mess things around. If we squirt a bunch of smoke in there, that's going to disrupt the scent communications within the hive. So in a lot of cases, we can look at the front of a hive like this and learn a lot of things about it. Now, it's really hard to learn how to do that just by watching a video or reading a book or something. So you really need practice. And a lot of new beekeepers sit in front of their hives and just watch them for hours on end. And that's really good. Bees are fun to watch. I enjoy watching bees. I don't have time so much to sit and watch them anymore, and I've watched them for many hours, so I'm just going to tell you some things to look for in this video so that you yourself can sit and watch your bees and be able to tell if they're okay, if there might be problems, what those problems might be, some things to look for, maybe figuring out when you do need to open the hive, or when you actually need to open the hive. But a lot of times we really don't. So I'm going to take a second here and reposition the camera so you can see the bees up close. I mean, there's no depth perception factor here. Like, I'm literally like a foot, my face is a foot from this hive. And it's okay to get that close. You don't want to breathe in it. So you might notice me not breathing in it, or you might not, whatever. So let's take a closer look. There we go. And I'm sorry about the shadow. There's nothing I can really do about that right now. But I think you can see everything you need to see. The first thing I want to do is I want to just record the sound for a minute or two, just so you know what a healthy, happy hive looks like. I can tell from experience that this is a hardworking hive. You can tell the sound right at the beginning that they are going hard and working hard. So I'm going to put the microphone right up by the entrance where your head might be, where you can listen to what a happy hive sounds like. If you hear a very loud buzzing or maybe an angry buzzing, you should be able to tell. I mean, these things are sort of intuitive. You can figure out when bees are mad. Next thing we're going to look at is the bees that are crawling around on the face of the hive. Now you can see there's some bees that are fanning. I'll talk about them in a minute. And there are some bees that are just kind of randomly crawling around. They're doing some inspections. They're kind of intercepting foragers who are coming in. Every once in a while you'll see one taking a load of nectar off of a forager who just came in. But most of them are sort of randomly wandering around. That's a good sign. It means there's plenty of bees in the hive to take care of all the things that need to happen. You can look right there on the right side of the disc entrance. If you can see that, there's a bee coming in with a big load of bright yellow pollen. Now this is later in the afternoon, so chances are you're going to see less pollen. as the day goes on, the pollen gets used up out on the flowers. There goes another one. But by seeing pollen coming in, you can be pretty well guaranteed that the hive is brooding. It is making new baby bees, which means there's a pretty good chance that the queen is laying and that everything is going well in the hive. As we're watching individual pollen bees coming in, notice also we can see fanning bees. Now this is a hive with a small entrance. This is the only entrance on the hive, and so there's probably a little more fanning going on than would be normal. And you're also going to see bees that are fanning sort of in the wrong place. If you look at these workers up here that are fanning, they're not going to do much good because the entrance is down there. But they don't know that. They're just working hard. That's a good sign. But you don't see any bearding. You don't see a bunch of bees hanging off on the outside of the hive. That means that the humidity is favorable and there aren't too many bees in the hive. Bearding, my general understanding is that bearding is caused by high temperatures and or high humidity and or too many bees in the hive, which means it's hard to get air to move throughout the hive efficiently, and so the bees will crawl out and hang on the outside. That's perfectly normal. Doesn't mean anything bad's happening. It just means the bees are adapting to their conditions. Now the next thing we're going to look at, which is impossible to look at because it's not visible, and that's the smell of the hive. Now hives have a particular smell, and that smell can be different at different times of the year depending on what's going on inside the hive. Brood has a certain smell, nectar has a certain smell. Nectar sourced from different flowers has a different smell, and nectar that is fermenting in the comb because it's not getting enough ventilation also has a certain smell. That'll be more of a fermenting yeasty smell, which I can't show you here today. So when you have a chance, take a big old whiff. A healthy hive smells sort of warm and humid and a bit like pollen. If you smell a flower that has a lot of pollen but no scent, you smell a lot of pollen. It's kind of it's hard to describe. It's an earthy smell. There's no rottenness to it. There's no fermenting smell to it. It just smells good. It smells like wax. Well, wax smells like hives. Anyway, it just smells really good. So once you get the experience, you'll be able to take a whiff of a hive and get an idea of how healthy it is. One other thing to notice is that this is getting toward evening. It's not quite evening yet, but it's getting toward evening. So you'll start to see a lot more new forager bees coming out of the hive and taking their first flights around the hive. The guard bees do this a little bit. In their early stages of being a guard bee, as they're guarding, you can see some of these bees that are wandering around on the face of the hive will take a very short flight and come back. And later, as they start to graduate toward forager bees, they will take much longer flights, and those flights often take place right around, I don't know, 5 or 6 in the evening. So you'll see kind of a cloud around the front of hives, and some people mistake that for swarming. Swarming happens in the earlier parts of the day, so it's not that. And as I told you before, this is a swarm that I just caught, I think, less than 2 weeks ago. So at this point in time, there are no new house bees that are coming out to be forager bees because there hasn't been any brood. Or at least those new bees aren't old enough to come out and start orienting themselves around the hive. All of these bees that you see here are bees that were part of the swarm that I caught a couple weeks ago. All right, that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Like and share if you get a minute. Have fun keeping bees. And if you can't do this without getting stung in the face, we'll talk about that in another video.